If you were born before 1955, I need you to stop what you are doing right now and stay with me for the next 10 minutes because there is a very real chance that the Social Security check landing in your account every single month is smaller than what you're actually owed. Not by a little. I am talking about hundreds of dollars a month, potentially thousands of dollars every year, sitting in a government calculation that was done wrong, and nobody from the Social Security Administration is going to pick up the phone and call you to tell you about it. That is not how this system works. The system sends you a number, you accept the number, and the money you were supposed to receive just quietly disappears. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why this happens, how to find out if it happened to you, and the specific steps you take to fix it before another month goes by. Stay until the end. The last step is the one almost nobody takes, and it is the only step that actually moves money from the SSA's system into your account. If you are not subscribed yet, do that right now and turn on the bell. Social Security rules, benefit calculations, and correction procedures change every single year. When they change, nobody from the government explains what it means for your specific situation. That is exactly what this channel does. Subscribe and let's get into it. Before I get into the details, let me tell you about something that happened last year that I think about a lot. A retired mechanic in Tucson named Harold had been collecting Social Security for 9 years. Every month, $1,412 hit his account. He never questioned it. He figured the government knew what they were doing. Then his daughter, who works in accounting, sat down with him one afternoon and pulled up his Social Security earnings statement online. She found it in about 4 minutes. 3 years in the mid-1980s were showing $0 in earned income, even though Harold had worked the whole time. He had his W-2s in a shoebox in the closet. They filed a correction. The SSA confirmed the error. His monthly benefit went up by over $100, and he received a retroactive payment for the month since he had originally filed. Harold's story is not unusual. It is, in fact, far more common than most people realize, and the reason it keeps happening is the same every time. Nobody told him to check. Here is the foundation of everything I'm going to explain today. The Social Security Administration calculates your monthly retirement benefit using your highest 35 years of earnings from your entire working life. They take those 35 years, adjust them for inflation, average them out, and run them through a formula to arrive at what is called your primary insurance amount. That is the number your check is based on. Now, here is where the problem starts. Every dollar in that calculation comes from earnings records that were reported by your employers, often going back to the 1970s, the 1960s, even earlier in some cases. The SSA themselves have acknowledged making approximately $2.5 billion dollars in underpayments in 2022 alone. And according to research published by Social Security Intelligence, nearly half of all earnings record mismatches in the system are never corrected because the people affected never knew to look. If even 1 year of your working life is missing from that record, your benefit is permanently lower. If 2 or 3 years are missing, the gap compounds. One analyst ran the numbers and found that 5 missing years of earnings history can reduce a monthly Social Security check by over $150. Over a 20-year retirement, that is $36,000 gone. Not because you did anything wrong, because nobody told you to open the file. Now, let me add the second layer to this, because for people born between 1943 and 1954, there is a specific calculation issue that has quietly cost millions of retirees a significant portion of what they were promised. And it comes down to one date that most people never fully understood. If you were born anywhere between 1943 and 1954, your full retirement age, according to the Social Security Administration, is 66. Not 65, not 67. 66 exactly. That is the age at which you are entitled to 100% of your earned benefit. Here is the problem. The Social Security Administration allowed people to claim as early as age 62, and millions of people did exactly that, especially during years when jobs were uncertain or health was declining. What many of those people were never clearly told is that claiming before your full retirement age does not just give you smaller checks for a few years until the number catches up. It permanently reduces your benefit for the rest of your life. If you claimed at 62 with a full retirement age of 66, your monthly benefit was reduced by 25% permanently, on a benefit that should have been $2,000 a month. That is $500 every single month. You will never get back for as long as you live. Last spring, a woman in Columbus named Dorothy posted in a retirement planning forum that she had been getting Social Security for 7 years and only recently learned that her check was 25% smaller than her full benefit because she had claimed early. She said, and I am paraphrasing what she shared publicly, that when she filed at 62, no one at the SSA office sat her down and said, here is what this decision costs you for the rest of your life. She was shown a monthly amount and she signed the paperwork. She said she wished someone had explained it the way a friend finally did 30 minutes over coffee. That story hit a lot of people because it is not an edge case. It is one of the most common financial regrets in the retirement community, and it has a specific shape for people in her birth year range. Now, I want to be direct about something. If you have already been claiming for years and you claimed early, I am not here to make you feel bad. What I am here to do is show you that there may still be money you have not recovered for reasons that have nothing to do with when you filed. Because here is what most people do not know. Even if you claimed at the right time, at 66, at your full retirement age, the check you are receiving right now may still be wrong because the earnings record feeding that calculation may have never been corrected. And that is the fixable part. That is the part the SSA will actually do something about if you bring them the proof. So here's what I want you to do, and this is the part of the video you should be writing down. The first thing is to go to ssa.gov and create or log into your My Social Security account. It takes about 10 minutes if you have never done it before. Once you are in, you're looking for your earnings history, which is a year-by-year record of every dollar that was ever reported to Social Security under your name and your Social Security number. Go through that record carefully. You are specifically looking for any year where the number seems wrong. A year that shows $0 when you know you are working. A year where the income seems far lower than what you were actually earning. A gap anywhere in the timeline of your working life. If you find one, you have found money that was taken out of your benefit calculation without your knowledge. The second step is to gather your documentation. Pull out your old tax returns, your W-2 forms, your pay stubs, anything that shows what you actually earned in the years that look wrong in your record. You do not need to have everything going back 40 years. Start with what you have. Even 2 or 3 years of documentation can be enough to open a correction. The third step is to file Form ssa 7008. That is the official request for correction of earnings record, and it is available directly on the SSA website. You fill it out, attach your documentation, and send it in. You can also do this by calling the SSA at 1-800-772-1213 and asking them to open an earnings record review, or you can go into your local Social Security office in person and bring your paperwork with you. Once you submit the request, the SSA has a process to match your documentation against their records and credit any earnings that were missing. The correction timeline typically runs between 10 and 90 days. If there is a balance owed to you, they will calculate the back pay and issue it as a lump sum direct deposit. Now, here is something important about timing that I do not want you to miss. While the SSA does have some discretion to correct obvious errors, regardless of when they occurred, there is a general guideline that earnings are most easily corrected within 3 years, 3 months and 15 days from the end of the tax year in which those wages were paid. That means the older the error, the harder it can be to fix, and the more documentation you are going to need. This is not a reason to panic. It is a reason to move on this sooner rather than later. If Harold in Tucson had waited another 5 years to find that shoebox, those 1980s earnings might have been impossible to recover. I also want to address something that comes up every time I cover this topic, which is the question of delayed retirement credits. If you were born between 1943 and 1954 and you delayed claiming beyond your full retirement age of 66, the SSA was supposed to credit your benefit with an 8% increase for every year you waited, up to age 70. That is a potential 32% increase above your full benefit if you waited all the way to 70. The important thing to verify is that those delayed retirement credits were actually applied correctly to your record when you did file. Errors in that calculation are less common, but they do happen. And if your benefit was supposed to reflect 3 or 4 years of delayed credits and it does not, you are leaving real money unclaimed. When you log into your My Social Security account, you can see the benefit estimate broken down. If the math does not match what you were told or what you expected, that is worth a phone call. In May of this year, a report from a government oversight office confirmed that thousands of widows and widowers had been underpaid due to a calculation error involving a process called the Widows Indexing Computation. The SSA itself acknowledged the problem. Those people did not do anything wrong. They filed correctly, they waited the right amount of time, and the math inside the SSA's own system was applied incorrectly during a manual processing step. The Inspector General estimated that roughly 40% of surviving spouses reviewed during that period may have been affected by similar errors. 40%. That is not a rounding error. That is a systemic problem that the government quietly acknowledges when pressed, but does not go out of its way to publicize. This is the part I want to stay with you after this video is over. The Social Security Administration is not your adversary. Most of the people who work there are trying to do their jobs. But the system is enormous, it is complex, it was built on decades of paper records and manual entries. And the honest reality is that it makes mistakes that cost real people real money. The burden of catching those mistakes does not fall on the SSA. It falls on you. And the only way you catch them is by looking. If you were born before 1955, your full retirement age was 66. Your benefit was supposed to be calculated on your 35 highest earning years, correctly recorded and correctly indexed. Before you close this video, go to ssa.gov, log into your My Social Security account, and look at your earnings history. All of it. Every year going back to the beginning. If you see something that does not look right, it probably is not. The form to fix it is SSA-7008, and the number to call is 1-800-772-1213. Send this video to one person you love who was born before 1955 and is collecting Social Security right now. One share takes 10 seconds. If their earnings record has even one missing year, finding it could put over $1,000 a year back into their account permanently. Money the SSA has been calculating wrong without sending a single letter to tell them about it. That is what this channel is here to do. I will see you in the next one.